Welcome back to the Insane Asylum. This is your host, Commander Asylum. So I want to talk about courier contracts. This will be an extension of my You Want to Be a Space Trucker video. I want to talk about courier contracts, what you can expect to have as income, and kind of what to look for here. So as a new hauler, if you don't want to join one of the big hauling corps like Red Frog Freight or PushX, you can join the Haulers channel. It's a chat channel down here called Haulers channel. People post contracts all the time that are some are appropriate for new bro, some are higher end contracts. These are people that are going to public courier contracts. And as a new starting out hauler, you can use this channel to find contracts that you want to haul. So I found one here that I would like to talk about. This just came up while I was doing the video earlier. So this contract is from Jita, which I'm in Jita. So if I did this contract, I would go from where I'm at here, at Jita 44, to Orville, which is 13 jumps away. I'm going to select destination. Let's see how I'm going to look at this from the hauler's perspective. So first, let's talk about income, because that's the all-important question. Is how much money can I earn as a hauler? Well, if you see, this is 13 jumps, and he is giving a 20 million ISK reward. So it's probably going to take me about, let's say about 15 minutes to do that 13 jumps. So as far as like active ISK goes, I'm probably making about 80 million per hour by hauling this contract. So I think that's probably that's a fair amount, of income that you're going to see for hauling. And you can see this is also relatively low volume. Now you might gasp, say 50,000 is not a low volume, but when you talk about a freighter that can hold 840,000 cubic meters, 50,000 cubic meters is small. So this person made this contract to be small enough to fit into a deep space transport, which makes it a little bit more accessible to newer haulers. However, despite the size of this contract, I would not haul this in a deep space transport. And why, you ask? It's because of this collateral. 1.4 billion is way too much collateral to haul in a deep space transport. Something like this should only be hauled in a freighter. I would say anything more than 500 million ISK should not be hauled in a max tanked deep space transport. Now again, this is all a spectrum of risk versus reward. As you take on more collateral, you take on more risk. As you take on less tank, you take on more risk. A deep space transport has a fraction of the tank that a freighter does. So, but you're just looking at the raw income here, right? I'm 13 jumps, I'm going to get paid 20 million ISK to do this, but I have to have 1.4 billion in collateral. Now, how do I know this is not a scam contract? Okay, well, I look at the size, it's 50,000 cubic meters, and the collateral is 1.4 billion, so there's nothing really concerning there. 1.4 billion collateral is not too bad. If this was, say, 20 billion or something, I would say if it's anything north of 1.5 billion, that would cause me to raise my eyebrows, and I probably would not take that contract. Because once you start going north of 1.5 billion, that's where you start seeing a lot more of the scams are starting to dominate those contracts, and you're also much more likely to get ganked hauling that much collateral, even in a freighter that does not have triple expanders. So for this contract, 13 jumps, 20 million ISK, 1.4 billion, and it's 50,000 cubic meters. So yeah, I can turn this contract around in about 15 minutes. I could haul it for this guy pretty safely. Another thing to watch out for is, especially with these public contracts, is watch out for this destination station. Kind of find out about it. I never take public contracts to stations that are not NPC stations. And that is a good rule of thumb to have, unless you absolutely implicitly trust and know who owns the station that that contract is going to. But I can tell that this is an NPC station by looking at it. It's also, I can look at this corporation that owns it. That is an NPC corporation. So I know that I am safe going to this. Next thing I'm going to check is my route. Is there any danger zones? So yellow, so any orange or red is an absolute non-starter on the route. But I don't see any orange or red. So, this is not an automatic reject at this point. But I have two yellows here. I have this yellow, which is Uedama, and I have this yellow, which is Mespier. So Uedama is one of the ganking hotspots of HiSec because it is a very important pinch point. It's also a 0.5 security status. It also happens to be the home system of Code, which is one of the biggest HiSec ganking PvP corps in the game. And they tend to hang out in Uedama. And if you look at haulers getting killed, most of the haulers are going to get killed in Uedama, or right downstream of Uedama you have Savala. So a lot of stuff happens right here in Uedama to Savala. And personally, I never go through here without max tank on my ship. Max tank is the most important thing. Maximize your tank, and then I always scout Uedama and Savala before I go through. It's important before you jump into Savala to take a look there, because sometimes they'll wait for you on the other side of the Uedama-Savala gate and get you over there. So if I'm smart, right, this is 50,000 cubic meters, so I can put 3 reinforced bulkheads. I can put 3 reinforced bulkheads on my ship, which even going through Uedama is going to be very difficult for them to gank me. They have ganked freighters that have come through triple tanked like this, though, but it takes a lot of ships, it takes a lot of money for them, and I've made that really not worth their time because I'm only hauling 1.4 billion ESC in collateral. Now this is still pretty close. I mean, at that 1.4 billion ESC, it's still really close, and I could be ganked, and I will always scout myself through Uedama and Savala in particular. So, you know, I hope that helps you out. So it's new starting out hauler, you definitely want to come to Hauler's channel and look at these public contracts here. And while you're earning a living hauling these public contracts, maybe put an application in to Red Frog Freight or PushX, and you know, they got a waiting list for those. But you know, after a couple months, you can get in and you can haul professionally. And those corporations have, you know, SRP and other great things to help you out as a professional hauler. If you have any other questions, comments, or want me to talk about anything else, please put it in the comments below, and I look forward to talking to you next time. Until then, fly dangerous.